What's happened with dating apps is that we get so focused on being able to rate and judge someone based on a few photos, a few prompts.
I spent so much time just scrolling, all kind of things going on in my subconscious that just made it crazy. Now looking at it, I was like, there's no way I was finding something meaningful out of that.
The judgments we put out there in the world are often a reflection of our internal world, so we are judging ourselves. A lot of us have become so busy, so disconnected, so numb from what we're actually feeling.
Sleep with them. Be honest, be upfront, be authentic. It's not wrong to just want to have fun and be single, because there's plenty of people who also just want to have fun and be single.
Energy is so expensive. Do not waste your energy on things that do not align with your path, is what I'm starting to learn.
I think there is a war on masculine and feminine energies or roles. It's not that everyone's going to be the same, but I think there are patterns. And I think all these civilizations have had this idea of polarity.
Two vascular surgeons walk into a bar and come out with a podcast. We are talking everything vascular and not. Welcome to the Life of Flow podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Life of Flow podcast. And today we have Joel Monteleone. Joel is a relationship coach that helps ambitious people navigate the crazy world of modern dating and develop real connections in the real world. So hope you guys enjoyed. This was a fun one. Vamos. All right, everyone. Welcome to a very special Valentine's themed episode of Life of Flow. Here with Joel Montemayor. Hopefully I pronounced that.
Not even close. Monteleone.
Monteleone.
Yep.
Sorry.
All good.
Yeah. And our new amazing co-host.
Do you want me to say my name?
Yeah, Priya.
Priya Kathapali.
Priya Kathapali. And what are we talking about today, guys?
Well, so I focus on, well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It is
Who
so
are
nice,
you, Joel?
Nice to see you both. And so my name is Joel Monteleone. I am a dating and relationships a coach here in Austin, Texas. And I also host a singles event called Hot Takes, Hot Dates, which is all about bringing fun and play back into dating, authenticity, vulnerability, and really that's the most efficient and effective way to attract your dream partner is by really being yourself and having fun doing it. And I'm so excited to talk to both of you because I think that there is like a few things that I focus on that really worry me right now. And it's like the level of disconnection that we have in our personal relationships. And I think what people miss out on from like a legitimate health perspective by being so isolated and by not being in connection and not allowing themselves to be seen or relate with another person on like a deep level. Like I know theoretically like that hurts people's health, and I'm excited to have a conversation with two literal doctors around what that actually means for people's health.
Yeah. And what it means, I think doctors have, and especially people that do intervention, like interventionalists, I think, or have a little different type of personality than other type of doctors. But I think we struggle in the relationship aspect for some. I'm sure there are tons of reasons for it, but I was married before, divorced, and then during residency, and then went out into dating when dating apps were like, I think they were like in full force back then. That was like the early days of dating apps.
Like what year was that?
That was 2015, 2016.
That was the peak. That was when I was on the apps too.
Yeah, that was the peak. And there's like the way I was doing it, there was no way to obtain a healthy relationship out of like how I was using the apps. It was kind of crazy. And then it was you didn't realize it back then. I didn't realize it, but they gamified it so well that I spent so much time just, I don't know, like scrolling. Like it was this all kind of like things going on in my subconscious that just made it crazy. It was fun, but now looking at it, I was like, there's no way I was finding something meaningful out of that. So anyways, yeah, I know that you have a perspective on dating apps and
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think it's also worth saying that you did find your fiance
yeah.
on dating apps,
Yeah.
right? And so like I think it's important to note that yes, they do work sometimes,
Yeah.
right? And also how dating apps are going to be effective is if once you are off the app, when you are in real life and you are actually dating the person, it's like, are you committed? Are you ready? Are you willing to let people see you? And I think what's happened with dating apps is that we get so focused on being able to rate and judge someone based on a few photos, a few prompts, and it's kind of bled into how we relate and how we rate people in real life, right? It's like, oh, I'm on a date with this person. Okay, they said something I don't like. I can just go to the next person, right? Rather than getting curious and asking them, hey, why do you think that? Or did you really mean that? Right? Because those questions can be uncomfortable to ask. And you know what's a lot easier?
Go into the next one.
Exactly. Ghosting them, not saying anything, and then just going back and swiping, getting another date.
Yeah.
Right? There is an infinite amount of dates that you can have on dating apps. Whether you get a lot of matches or not, like the perspective is that there is a never ending flow of people I can date here. So whenever a moment gets uncomfortable, rather than getting uncomfortable, I'm just going to go try something new.
And you mentioned something really important about judgment. I think the judgments we put out there in the world are often a reflection of our internal world. So we are judging ourselves. And so a lot of us have become so busy, so disconnected, so numb from what we're actually feeling. How can we form a meaningful connection with another person if we personally do not have the ability to feel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. That is something that people want to be seen, right? And at the same time, no one's allowing others to actually see them. And like there is this level of authenticity that I think is the scarcest resource in dating because people are afraid to actually be themselves for fear of judgment, for fear of losing or abandonment. And so they put on this persona or this mask that they think is what the other person wants them to be based on the information that they've gathered from the media, from social media. And no one is actually showing up in a way where they can actually create connection. There's two people showing up with a mask on and then wondering why there's no connection.
This makes me so curious. Like, this comes back to your medicine comment. Do you feel like certain professions are more likely to, certain people in different backgrounds or professions, are we more likely to show up with less authenticity? Because I feel like medicine outtrains that authentic part of who you are because it doesn't fit the
Mhm.
algorithm.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, that would be I think so, and I think it's getting more and more like across the board, right? Like I think as everyone, there's this whole push and, you know, your fiance is one of those people and I agree, right? It's like you need to have a personal brand, right? It's like as everything goes AI, everything's going digital, like in order to survive, you need to have a personal brand. Okay, well, is my personal brand actually me? Right? When I'm on a date, are you dating me or are you dating the version of me that you saw in a dating app or on Instagram? Are you attracted to my personal brand? Okay, well, if you're attracted to my personal brand, then I got to be my personal brand in real life, right? And then at some point, it's like, who is Joel, right? Who am I? And so, I think that we are starting to become more and more aware of how we are perceived by others and less aware of who we are and how we want to be perceived.
In the work that you do you have to coach people into finding their more authentic voice? And that is probably the hardest job in the world.
Yeah, I mean it's not that difficult, right? Like an example I'll have is someone will message me. They go, "Hey, how do I respond to this text message? They said this thing about this date or whatever." And I go, "Okay, what do you want to say?" And they type up a text. I go, "Great, say that." Like, and I go, "Well, what if they think this? And what if they," goes, "Doesn't matter." Right? Like, if you ruin a whole relationship based on the way you respond back to somebody, then that has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. And that wasn't your person to begin with. But if you want to start to edit yourself and say something that you actually didn't want to say because you don't want to make them feel bad, now you're just creating more and more disconnection. You're creating less and less presence. And eventually it's all going to break down because you're no longer like operating on the same like relational experience.
Yeah, I don't know how it even works, especially like I imagine, and I don't know, but as a woman, like you get so much inbound, you know, attention to like even like when all men realize this. All men realize that every single woman that's in there probably has like 1,000 new messages every day. And then it kind of plays into that, okay, how am I authentically going to communicate in a way that, attracts attention, establishes a conversation, and that can lead to like a meaningful time that you spend together. And then you start playing all these this mind games. Okay, like what do I say? What's like the cool thing to say? What's the thing that is going to end? It's not, and it eventually becomes not you.
Yeah.
What?
Well, I was like, if you know that the women on dating apps are getting thousands of responses, like, I hate to break it to you, but you're not breaking through that.
Yeah.
It's like legitimately winning the lottery. Not only do you have to have a profile that they're attracted to, but you have to catch them at the right time to where they're open to being on their phone. You have to catch them at a time to where they're actually in a place where they can respond to you. Because if they respond and then there's a gap, 1,000 more messages came in, right? Like, it's literally winning the lottery. And I went on a date with a girl maybe a year and a half ago or something, and she was beautiful, like really, really attractive. And I was telling her, like, I'm not on the dating apps. And she goes, well, why aren't you on the dating apps? I go, because if I met you on the dating apps, there's 0% chance that we would be on this date right now. She goes, oh, well, of course we would. Like, what do you mean? I go, not because of who I am or who you are, but you have so many inbound messages and having to catch you at the right time and actually get to the point of actually going on a date. The likelihood is very slim, right? And so what do I do instead? I focus on how I show up in the real world, right? Me personally, I host events, right? And this woman came to one of my events where I was hosting the whole thing, holding space, being in a leadership position, and I asked her on a date and she said yes immediately, right? And that game, like, is 100% likelihood of me going on a date with this woman, right? Like, it increases the level of possibility of going on a date. And so if that's important to you, right? Like, you're not going to win the Hinge game. You want to win the game of dating, you get off Hinge and you play the game that most men are not playing, which is showing up in real life and being a leader. And I mean, the same is true for women, right? Like, women don't get asked out in person as much as men think they do.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like, if you are a woman who's getting asked out a lot by high quality men, like, you are winning a game. And it's like how you're presenting yourself, how you're being, are you approachable? Are you kind? Do you give people a chance? Like, it's dating is not a hard thing. It's all about how you connect to people.
And a lot of that is unspoken, energetic, sensing feeling. And I think you lose that from dating apps, which makes it really hard to filter through the 1,000 messages, right? Like, how do you really get a sense of what someone feels like when you just get the same generic, like, hey, like, how are you? How was your day? Right. And I think you bring up such an important point about, and I'm one of this more like spiritual, energetic, connected kind of people. And I believe masculine and feminine exist within each one of us. And how we balance that matters. But I think you get a better sense of people as you interact in real life.
100%, right? Like, there's no way that you can see a person based on how they are on Instagram, right? Like, even the version of them, the most authentic person on social media, like, it's still not real life. Like, it's still optimized for digital, right? And it's sure, it might be more authentic than most, but it's not authentic. You don't understand how people connect and how people feel. And I think there's a lot of individuals who are writing off their person because of a couple things that, like, they didn't like, right? Like, things that weren't that, like, important, like the way they texted or the way that they laughed or, like, things that aren't real, like, they could, like, it's sad and it's scary because it people are gonna end up alone and looking back on it and thinking about all the mistakes or the people that they could have been in a relationship with that they just weren't.
I think this comes back to your very first question about how does this affect people's health, and loneliness is one of the most dangerous conditions for humans. I will tell you that over and over again. I take care of patients who come in with heart attacks, and it is not always, but it is a very common thing that comes up where people don't have somebody else that you want us to call during this most vulnerable moment in your life. And it's heartbreaking to me that we're seeing it more and more often. And there are studies that have shown that, I don't know, have you ever read the actual study where they say like men live longer if they have, a relationship with a partner? I've read something. I need to go back and find that paper, but it's just really interesting how we are a connected species. And so heartbreak can cause cardiomyopathy or heart muscle weakness. What do you see in the vascular world?
I mean, it's the same thing. It's very sad when you have somebody that's alone. Their chances of getting through an extraneous event are very low. The chances of them having a great outcome are very low. Now, the patient that comes in with the entire family, that comes in with, I'll tell you a story. I took care of this amazing woman, end stage renal disease. So kidneys are failing.
Yeah, thank you.
So
Yeah,
your
I was like,
kidneys,
what does that mean?
your kidneys basically filter all your blood and remove toxins. So kidneys don't work. All that stuff stays in, and then you get that filtered out every 3 days by machine, which you can imagine is not great, causes inflammation in your whole body. So when I saw her, she had end stage lower extremity disease, meaning that most of the arteries in her leg were gone. At that point, most of the arteries in your whole body are gone, like your heart, your brain. You have strokes
Wow.
and heart attacks, and you die. And she met like the love of her life in the dialysis center, like getting dialysis. They were next to each other, and she lived way longer than I would have thought, because I tried to do a deep vein arterialization on her. It didn't work out. And I thought, man, she's not going to do well. But she lived like years, which those patients usually die within a year or two.
There's
And
something about the human spirit.
100%. 100%. So, and the amount of like when I saw her initially, she hadn't met her partner. And when I saw her after, like her mood was completely different. Like at the beginning, very pessimistic, very depressed. Afterwards, it felt like she could she could take on whatever came her way because she had that love. So
Like she
yeah,
had a destiny moment in the dialysis
in the
center.
dialysis center. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. So
How does that translate in your world? Like, what do you hear when you hear something like that?
I mean, I get emotional because what I think is, okay, she had something to live for, right? And that's really powerful, right? And like truly, I I I believe this when COVID hit, when like everything, we like jobs were kind of closed, everything was closed. What I realized, like, oh, okay, the only things that actually matter are my health, the people I care about health, and my relationships, right? Like when everything else is gone, like those are really the only things that matter. And so like if you don't have people you care about and you don't have relationships, okay, then it's like, okay, all you have is your health. And if you lose your health, then you have nothing, right? And so it's like when I hear this story, it like reinforces that, okay, cool. She had somebody to live for. She had the relationships. She cared. Um, and I think we're starting to there's this rhetoric that like people don't need to be in relationship. People don't need to be connected. It's like, oh, you just be single and do it on your own. And that's okay for some people, but like there's like a war on relationships. Like it's okay to want a relationship. It's okay to say, "Hey, I don't like being single. I don't want to be single." But there's this constant reinforcement of like you don't need anyone else, right? And it's just like it's just scary. I don't like it.
yeah. Well, let's say so you're a coach. People come to you to help help them get their, in front of their ideal partner. So let's just put some hypotheticals here. I'm a surgeon. I just finished all my training. I'm going to give you some context. At this point, I'm a pure psychopath. Okay.
Okay. What does that mean? Pure
That means
psychopath?
that I've been through 4 of medical school, 5 of surgery. We're at 9. And then let's just say 2 more vascular. We're at 11 years of self-centered training where like everyone tells you you're special. Everyone tells you what you do is the most important thing in the world.
Okay.
And everyone else is beneath you.
But they
Okay.
also tell you suck every single day.
And they tell you suck every single day.
Okay. All right.
Both at the same time.
Okay.
Okay. And I think I'm the shit. And I'm like, Joel, I'm thinking of going on the dating apps, or I'm thinking of going and finding a partner. What do I do?
The first question I would ask you is, what do you want?
I want a hot girl.
Okay. Well, that wouldn't be enough for me,
Okay.
right? And I think that's, and like I want people to get very clear on what they actually want, because I think people think, oh, I want a long-term relationship. It's like, okay, well, what type of long-term relationship? Or I want to meet a nice guy. I go, well, that's bullshit, because you met a nice guy. Like, what else do you want? Like, it's okay. People say, oh, I have the highest standards, and I ask them what their standards are, and they're like, I don't know, they're like attractive and like treat me well. Yeah, I'm like, those aren't high standards. Those are incredibly low standards. So what is it actually? What do you actually want? And so, what I would say to this guy, right, is like, get very clear on what you're actually looking for. Because if you want to just go and sleep with hot women, I would say go for it. Get on the dating apps, tell them you're a doctor, go on dates, take them to a nice dinner, and sleep with them, right? If that's what you want, obviously make sure that there's, like they want that too, right? Be honest, be upfront, be authentic, right? But like, that's okay. It's not wrong to just want to like have fun and be single, because there's plenty of people who also just want to have fun and be single. But if you actually want a long-term relationship, if you want like commitment, then okay, we have to start to act in a way that attracts that, right? Because sure, surgeon, you're 11 years of being told you're the shit, but like, you're going to find out really quickly that you're kind of just like every other guy, And so the way that you can differentiate yourself is being honest, being authentic, being in ownership and responsibility of like, hey, I think I'm the shit, and I want a partner who also thinks I'm the shit, right? Then great. You're going to filter out all the people that don't want that, right? But if you're not honest with yourself and you're just thinking, oh, like the right person will come around, you're going to be waiting a really long time, because you're like energetically, you're not being clear. You're allowing too much into your space that is actually not in alignment, that like it's confusing, right? There are so many people out there who are dating people and like, oh, this didn't work. And I'm like, shit, it didn't work. Like, like what about this guy is what you're looking for? They go, oh, well, you never know. I go, you knew.
Yeah.
You knew. You hoped it would be something different. You thought maybe it would be different this time, but you knew. And as long as you keep entertaining that, you're going to continue to repel the things that you actually want, because there's no space for it. You're entertaining the wrong people. So the people that would actually be interested in you are like, oh, she's not what I'm looking for, because she's dating those types of people, or he's dating those type of people. I'm not going to date her. But in reality, like, she's that person, but she's spending her energy on things that are not actually what she wants. So I have that surgeon just get very clear.
I love that. It's like intention is really important, and body cues, like learn to listen to what it feels like when you're around somebody who feels expansive and aligned versus like contracting and like chasing, controlling, fear, all the different things. And it is a very different energetic state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had friends who have told me like, oh, I'm going on a date with this guy. I'm like, why? Like, why are you like, that's not what you're looking for, like mustache, tattoos, cut off shirt at like 35. I'm like, that's not what you're looking for. And she goes, yeah, but I just kind of want to be taken out. I want to feel like I just want to connect with somebody. And then she goes on the date. I ask her how it was. She goes, "Oh, it was awful. It was so bad." Like, and then that reinforces her belief that there's no one out there for her, right? Even though she shouldn't have been on that date in the first place, and she knew it, but she went on it because she was hopeful, but it ended up backfiring because now it's reinforcing the belief that she's meant to be alone, rather than staying true with what's in integrity with her and saying, "Yeah, no, that's not for me. I know what's for me is going to come, and I trust that it's going to come. So I don't need to spend my time with this guy just so it makes me feel good because I know the right man is just around the corner."
And energy is so expensive. It's like, do not waste your energy on things that do not align with your path, is what I'm starting to learn. I don't know if you feel that way, Lucas, with the experiences that you've had.
Yeah, I mean, now looking back at it, when I was dating, I have, you know, I I wish I would have had some mentorship or coaching around it, because I wasted a lot of my productive energy, even though at that time I wasn't in the whole I w- creating space in my mind of like building things besides just going to the hospital and operating. Um, but I could see how that took away all my energy. And understood way later the concept of, having when you take on things that are not aligned, it doesn't allow the things that are aligned to come in. The creating that space, and it's very whatever woo or whatever, but I can. There's so many things that have come into my life after I quit my job immediately. Crazy, crazy. And I was like, okay, yeah, I was that job for whatever reason was impeding other things to come in, and I've gotten like like really crazy opportunities and crazy people just calling and offering partnership in different things, in the business aspect. And so I feel like in dating is the same thing. If you go out, and especially like guys, you know, people in our community, you come out, you have a lot of access to dates, to women. Like you have a lot of access to it. So there's this trap of just like going ham. Uh, but that just ends up you wasting a lot of time and wasting a lot of that potential energy to really get what you want. If that's what you want. If you just want to go out and go to, like, I used to love to hang out in Miami and go to the Standard and Brickell and just party and a great time.
So specific.
I loved it. I
He's like, these are my
fucking
3 activities.
Yeah. Go if you're just getting out of residency. This is some advice. If you're getting out of residency, you're single, you spend some weekends at the Standard and Brickell. You have a great time. Oh.
So he hears.
Yeah. So I know. But after that, then if you keep doing that, then it just it's frustrating. It wastes a lot of your energy, and then you realize like you wasted a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all comes down to what you want. Like, what do you deeply want? And I think the biggest lie that we were told in dating is that dating is a numbers game. Like, that is such bullshit, because that, like, essentially tells you that, oh, hey, you just need to go on as many dates as possible and eventually you're going to find the right person. Well, it's like, well, if I'm going on as many dates as possible, the 50th date that I go on, they're not getting the same amount of energy that the first 3 people got, right? And the 50th date I've gone on, if it's someone I'm really interested in, it's like, I'm burnt out. I'm tired. This person's not getting all of me. And then maybe they're burnt out. And I'm like, oh, they're kind of boring, Like, and it's just like, it's not a numbers game. It's not the quantity of relationships, it's the quality of relationships. It's being discerning in who you get to invest your energy in and who doesn't. Because like I said earlier, like, not everyone gets your time, right? Like, if they're gonna be a good person to invest in or not. And so going on dates where you really aren't excited about them or you don't think it's gonna go anywhere, like, those just get to stop, because it's actually like it's harming future dates. It's pulling energy away. It's pulling out authenticity, and it's gonna hurt you in the long run.
What's like the female
Oh, I was just about to
perspective?
ask.
Yeah, what is like when in our community, like you come out of training, you put all this energy into yourself and you find yourself that, okay, now I want to build this thing. I want to find a partner to build it with. What's the female perspective in that?
It's a mixed bag. So for people who are already in relationships, I think it's a very different experience than for people who are single through training, because you're so busy and you do inevitably become disconnected from who you are, what you like, what you want, what kind of life you're going to build. You're constantly just surviving in this environment. And certain fields like interventional cardiology, for instance, we're less than 1% women in structural intervention. So you don't have a lot of other context around you for how people do things. And I think you become kind of imbalanced in your polarity if you're not careful. So dating becomes challenging because you're like, I don't have a strong sense of self. I am doing this really high intensity, high impact work. And that's my entire identity right now. But what do I want in my personal life? And how can I even access that state of myself to allow myself to be vulnerable in that way? So I do think dating becomes really challenging. And I'm just speaking from like personal experience of life. Like, I think you may think you know what you want in your 20s before you start your residency, but by the time you come out of it, you're a different person. Like once you're out in the world doing the work, you're a different person. You may shift and take on many different iterations of who you are. And I think women have the pressure of like, I need to find a partner by a certain age because I want to have children. And it makes it harder when you don't have the time or the bandwidth or the space to really connect with yourself in those years.
Are you in a relationship? Are you single?
It's complicated.
It's
We're gonna have to
complicated.
edit that out.
Edit that out.
Oh shoot!
It's
Shoot.
active. It's like a
Oh,
hot
shoot.
topic.
All right.
Maybe by then we'll be able to post it.
Yeah. Well, I guess like I was just curious. Is like, what is dating like for you or for your friends? Like, what's their experience?
The experience that I've heard from people is that it's really hard to find genuine connection. And we are people who spend our lives like caring for other people's lives. So we crave depth. Like we can't just be like surface level. And I think in a culture where people are afraid of deeper connection, it can be really intimidating to be faced with that. But I don't know. That's just my perspective.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking like doctors and nurses, like people in healthcare, they hold a lot, right? Like their lives are very unique to the normal person, right? There's like matters of life and death. And in order for them to, you know, hold that and have a relationship that holds that, like that requires strong emotional intelligence, strong support, like depth. And I think there would be a lot of people who would not want to hold that, right? That's heavy.
It's heavy.
It's very heavy.
So there's a lot of trauma bonding. I'm sure you've experienced that yourself. So we bond over all of our shared little traumas, and there is a lot of like inter-workplace relationship stuff, and often it can often be like, you know, hooking up with random people at random times because you're frustrated, you're sad, you're scared, whatever it is. And then you just end up in a really chaotic work environment too. And then you're just like, okay, so what do I do?
So
can I
Grey's
just-
Anatomy is like kind of
yeah.
real.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's real. So
I
now
used-
I know where to send people.
Please send
for
them my
help.
way, 100%. I remember watching Grey's Anatomy when I was younger and being like, I would never want my hospital to be like this. Like these doctors have have so much drama in their life. Like it's so wild. So that's interesting that it's not too far from like reality.
Yeah, it's just imagine being like just imagine being stuck in a place with a whole bunch of, and everyone's kind of young and everyone's like under high stress. And yeah, how do you think energy is going
High
to be?
stress,
Yeah.
insecure, super high highs, super low lows.
Yeah. That leads to many call room call room interactions.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
So yeah, I guess one, and this is probably completely wrong, but I feel like for women it might be harder than men. As for women physicians, it might be harder than men because this is, and I don't know, you tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like women search for someone that is equal on the kind of social stratus or social, let's just say, equity or level than men. I think like there's the trope of like the surgeon dating the nurse a lot, but the male
You
surgeon
don't see
didn't.
the flip of that.
You don't see the flip of that. So I think your dating pool is way smaller than a man's dating pool.
If you stick within the microcosm of the hospital, which you usually do, because
Yeah,
you spend like 18 hours a day there.
exactly.
Because where else would you go? But like you said, it's about how you show up in the world. And if that's important to you, you got to put yourself out into different environments where you feel good and you can project your energy and like attract all the things to you.
Yeah. So you got to really step out of step out into the
Yeah.
world. And it's the same,
Participate in life.
participate in life. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, like it's interesting. Like I'm Jewish, right? And so like there is definitely like this trope of like, marry a doctor, right? For like females, like
Mhm.
marry a doctor. You don't really hear that as much on like the male side. Like, oh,
Male.
marry a female doctor. Like you don't really hear that trope or like that stereotype. Um, but I mean, it's interesting, and like I think it's important too. Like when you said, yeah, you get to be out in the world, like how you show up in the world, and not only in with doctors, but I see this a lot with just like I mean, a lot of jobs right now that are high stress. If like you're in a high stress job, and then you go on a date that night, and like you don't do a really good job of leaving your stress at work, and like it's just like it's gonna shoot you in the foot, no matter how amazing you are. If you show up and you're just, like, super wound tight and stressed out, like, on a first date or a second date, people are like, "I don't this is too much. I don't want any of this." Right? And so, like, there is this, like it's a skill to be able to, like, let your work be your work and then show up in relationship differently, and then you go back to, like, the masculine, feminine, right? Yes, men and women can both dance in the masculine and the feminine. And a lot of what the work environment is, it's like very masculine. It's masculine, 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 hyper masculine. But when, like, I'm speaking for women specifically, it's like when you show up on a date, like, if you want to have that polarity, then you get to show up in the feminine. But you have to know how to be able to shift that. And if you can't shift it, ask to reschedule,
Or even
like it's
becoming
okay to take
aware that
space.
that shift is important and it's okay. Because I think a lot of us, I can speak for myself. I am I'm more of a doer. Like I'm control, like get things done. So, interventional cardiology makes sense, but that's hyper masculine if you look at energetic polarity. So in relationships, I really struggle to receive. Like I really struggle with just allowing for, someone else to take the lead. And I've become aware of that. And that awareness alone has shifted how I approach relationships. So I think even just being told it is okay to have that shifting energy within you has made such a big difference.
What have you done to, like, shift that? Or, like, once you're aware of it, like, what steps do you take to kind of shift it?
Well, so I mean, I made big changes in my life. I quit my job. I started questioning a lot of different things about how I show up in my work environment specifically. I almost felt like I had to hide myself to be okay and to be taken seriously and to feel like I belonged. And I started just kind of slowly allowing myself to be who I actually feel like I am. So, authenticity. So once I started embracing more of that, I was just like, wow, people respond differently to me. I'm, involved in my personal relationships differently. So I think a lot of it is getting back to who you really are without all of the expectations or additional things we put on ourselves.
So do you think you bring more of that feminine energy into the hospital, into the cath lab?
Now I do, and I actually feel like it's made me a better doctor because I am more in flow. I'm more in touch with my intuition or higher guidance. I feel things, and I actually think I was made in such a way that I meant to feel my way through the world. And so by living that extreme contrast, I now have become more aware of how to navigate that. But it was necessary for me to experience that part of life too.
Interesting. Yeah, I definitely feel like more attunement with my intuition. And we all sense that. Like there's always like this thing that the foot of the bed exam. Like I don't know if your attendings used to like tell you about that, but the head of surgery would tell us, hey, you sit at the foot of the bed or you stand at the foot of the bed and you look at the patient and it's just the foot of the bed exam. It's basically just intuition. It's all these experiences that you had over tens of thousands of hours just guiding you. You don't need to rationalize it. Your body tells you, this patient, like, and you can stand there. It's like, oh, this guy's fine, or we need to act right now. So letting that just guide you in the rest of your life. Um, but yeah, I wonder. I do feel like women are pushed to be very masculine in what we do, and having being growing with Courtney, my partner, like she was also like in her work environment very masculine. And then she's, actively worked on being more feminine and carrying that same power, that same energy, and that has made her more successful. So I can imagine in medicine, and especially like in interventional practices, it can be interesting and a difficult thing to navigate, given all the pressures that you have to act a certain way, which is like men.
You said it very well. Is intuition a part of dating? Is it important?
Yes, for sure. And I think like I said earlier, it's things, right? And where we get into trouble is when we start to overthink them. We start to over rationalize. And I think intuition is important, but also you get to understand, hey, what is intuition and what is anxiety, right? And like, does this is this actually doesn't feel good, or is this a pattern to where I self-sabotage everything, right? And like getting really clear on that is what I help people with, where it's like, hey, take a second, right? Like let's sleep on it and we'll talk about it tomorrow, right? And so I think the intuition is really powerful, especially with women and the feminine. Like you guys are so in touch with the world and with yourselves and with the energy, like that's your superpower. And so being able to trust that, and then how men can utilize that is like creating safety so that women can actually like surrender into the dating experience, right? If they don't feel safe, if they're constantly questioning things, like good luck developing a relationship.
Yeah. And this is something else I've realized. You can be a really high functioning, productive human being and still not be a leader in a relationship sense.
Totally.
As a man and, as a woman, you can be someone who's very go with the flow in life, but when it comes to relationships, still have that instinct to control, plan, do, fix everything. And you don't really create space for that other person. So just because we're one way in one environment doesn't mean we're the same way in every other part of life.
100%.
But there is such like I think there is a war on that concept of like masculine and feminine energies or roles. Like it's not that everyone's going to be the same. Absolutely. There's nothing in life that is like that. But I think there are patterns. And I think like all these civilizations have had this idea of polarity. Um, and I truly believe that. I think like there's a male role, and it took me a while to understand. I was having this conversation with a friend, and he's like, he's dating this woman, and she got mad because he said, "Oh, I might be able to go see you before I head out of town," and work stuff didn't permit it, and then something else, and he got really triggered, and she got triggered, and I thought that the problem was safety through not being consistent. It's like I in that particular situation, I told him it would be completely fine if you say, "Hey, I'm not going to see you before I leave." But the inconsistency probably triggered a sense of not trust, lack of safety, uh, and she was being a mirror of his inconsistency. So all to say that, yeah, that kind of male being kind of the firm mountain and the female being like the wild river, ocean kind of a deal. But you have to be the firm mountain for you to be able to see and receive that wild female energy. Uh, but I think I think that's not a popular concept in modern culture, like of like the traditional male role or in general, and a traditional female role.
Yeah, I think it's misinterpreted, right? When people think masculine, feminine, they think, okay, the man is the is like the worker and like the leader, and the woman is meant to stay in the kitchen and just like take care of the kids, right? That's what it comes. That's where like the lowest common denominator of understanding is. People are like, no, that's not how I want. Like, but that's not what you're saying, right? You're like, it's like the energy of like the polarity of like, hey, it's there for every yin and the yang, right? If you're dancing in a partner dance, there is a lead and there is a follow. In every partner dance, there's a lead and there's a follow. Sure, even the lead might change to like the woman is going to lead and then the man's going to follow, but like there is always a leader, there's always a follower. There can't be two leads and there can't be two follows. And this is true with any relationship. And I think with how much information that we receive online and through the media, like I think it messes up people, right? Because for every woman that says, oh, hey, I want a masculine man to like lead me, there's another woman that says, no, I want to lead. And then a man's like, well, I don't know what y'all want, so I'll just take my ball and go home. Or the same with a woman is like, oh, all men are one way, all men are another way. It's like, okay, well, now I'm just creating this generalization. It's like everyone just needs to take a chill pill. Like everyone just like
So confusing.
chill out for a second and just like talk to people, right? Have a conversation, connect with them, ask them what they want. This person that is in front of you, do not assume you know what they're thinking. Do not assume you know what they want. Have a conversation. And I think that's what's ruining a lot of relationships right now is that we assume all women want a certain thing or women want a certain thing. We assume men want a certain thing. And so we don't actually take the time to get curious or understand what this specific individual wants. And so people are just saying, you know what, I'm just going to remove myself from the dating experience altogether because it doesn't make sense to me. And it's like, there's no winning in this game. And so it is really just taking like the present moment, connecting with the person that you want to connect with and being authentic, taking risks, maybe asking them a question that you're too afraid to ask or sharing something that you're too afraid to share. There's a story. I was in a relationship, or I guess it was a situationship for about 3 months, and I wanted it to be more. And she was like, I don't want it to be more. Like, I'm cool with this. This is it. Like, it's a situationship. We have it. Like, this is the situation. It's it. And it wasn't giving me what I wanted. I wanted more of the relationship. And so I was like, all right, I'm about to break up with this girl. But in that space, I was like, if I'm going to break up with her, I have nothing to lose, right? Like, I was operating in a place where I was afraid to lose her. So I was like showing up as who I thought she wanted me to be. And so then I was like, all right, I'm going to break up with her. So I'm just going to now be myself, right? I'm going to take a risk and share with her my struggles and the things that I'm challenged with and like what I'm insecure about and all these things. And 2 nights later, I was going to break up with her and I went over to her house and she goes, before you say anything, she's like, I think you're going to break up with me, but I wanted to tell you something. I'm like, okay, go for it. She goes, I want to date you. I don't want a situationship anymore. I want to, explore what a relationship would look like. And I was like, what the heck? Like, why are you doing this now? She goes, well, Joel, 2 days ago, that was the first time I actually felt connected to you. Right. And she's like, and that was I've really enjoyed that. And I want to get to know you more. Right. And so like a lot of the time, the things that we're resisting the most, the things that we're afraid to share, that's how we actually connect with people. That's how we let people in. Yeah, it's scary. It's scary to tell people your biggest insecurities, the things that keep you up at night that might seem trivial to other people, but that's how people connect with people. That's what they want to know. That's how they feel safe because they know, okay, this is what this person's going through. I now understand them on a deeper level. And I think that level of vulnerability, that level of authenticity, that level of risk is too scary for some people. So they keep it all surface level. And then eventually, that surface level just withers out. And then they wonder, okay, why am I alone all the time?
All right.
That's some good stuff.
Good stuff. All right, Joe, where can people find you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can find me on Instagram at Joel_Monteleone, JOEL_Monteleone, MONTELEONE. And then you can see my events, Hot Takes, Hot Dates, also on Instagram and YouTube. And then if you're in the Austin area, come to my events. They happen once a month You'll find all that on Instagram, and we'll be going to new cities soon. So if you're interested in the most fun, authentic event, follow me and we'll be in your city soon.
All right, let's go. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Joel, and thank you, Priya.
Thank you both.
Thank
This was
you,
so
guys.
fun.
All right, vamos.